another episode of Middle School Music, and today we're really honored to have none other than Jon Connor himself live on, or at least record on the show. Jon, it's great to have you. You know, your background as an artist, you're somebody who I've been following for a good couple of years. You know, you've received praise from the likes of Busta Rhymes, The Game, Nas, Rick Ross, and fellow Michigan native Big Sean. You've been signed to Aftermath and worked with Dr. Dre with 2 tracks featured on the Compton album. You have a banging mixtape history. A great.
Let the man say hello, Dario. Let the man say hello.
No, it's all good. This is like, man, this is the greatest introduction ever, man. Keep going.
Great independent success and a new album release with SOS. It's a pleasure to have you.
Oh, man, it is a pleasure to be here, man. Thank y'all so much for having me. I'm humbled, man, by that introduction. Thank you so much, man.
I told you he was a fan.
It's all good. It's all, man, like I always tell people, without supporters, what I do don't mean nothing, man. So thank you, man, for you know what I'm saying, for appreciating my art and, you know, helping me to live my dream, man. Thank you.
Of course, of course. You know, I kind of, you know, your career as an artist, you know, you through the come up, you know, you've gone through many different eras of the music industry to some extent. You've gone through the mixtape era, you know, to releasing an independent album with Unconscious State, which did well on the Billboard charts, and then moving into, you know, working with Dr. Dre and being signed to the Aftermath label Machine, and now going independent again, you know, in what is now known as the TikTok era. You know, I know the recent live stream you had with Chris Weddy, where you both mentioned that, you know, you're not the TikTok type of people. Kind of curious to understand how you feel about the industry now, particularly considering your new position.
You know what? I guess I look at myself as, you know, I'm in the industry because I make music, but I'm really not of the industry as far as like just the way everything moves and how the big machine of the industry moves. You know what I mean? I think that's where me and Webby connect at, is because, you know, we still believe in making full bodies of work. We don't subscribe to, you know, people attention spans are so short that they just don't care about good music no more. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe that. I believe that, you know, people are going to respond to what comes out of those speakers. And if they like it, they're going to rock with it. So for me, man, how I feel about the current state of the industry, you know, it's cool because it don't affect me. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm not going to ever change my strategies or the way that I do things based on what, you know, the industry says or what the majority of people say. I've always been one that just does my own thing, and I march to the beat of my own drum. So it's like no matter what the industry at large is doing, I'm still going to just do what I do. And I think that the people that support me and support my music and have supported me throughout my whole career, I think that's one thing that they, you know, respect about me, is that I'm going to just stay me. I'm going to keep doing me no matter what everybody else is doing. I'm going to keep giving the people that support Jon Connor what Jon Connor does. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm probably never going to conform. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to, you know, keep doing what I do. And so the way the industry is, you know, it's all good for them, but it don't really affect me like that. So I guess I really don't think about it.
Jon, can I ask, you know, kind of, you started and you kind of called Flint home for your life, and you sound like a very proud Flint resident, but at the same time collaborating with people like Dre and other artists from other places, and then also the distribution side. How do you view kind of the location as being something that's important, right? Like if I think about the evolution of hip hop, you know, the East, the West, the South, you know, kind of Michigan then on the come up as well. And now kind of artists almost from anywhere being able to release music and distribute music. How have you seen that transition? I mean, have you found that it's gotten easier to kind of produce and distribute music? I mean, we're looking at, you know, kind of your room, and you've got the keyboard set up, the drum machine set up, you know, the whole kind of production side. You can kind of make the music there and release it and have it go anywhere. How have you found that that's maybe changed over your career in the music industry?
Yeah, it definitely has, man. Because when I first started off, You know, it was all physical copies. It was all CDs and mixtapes, and you know what I'm saying? You had to actually physically go to these certain places to get your name up. You know what I mean? Like, you know, that's the grind that me and my dog Mateen Cleaves, we came up doing. We was that old school, how you hear about Master P, like going out the trunk of his car. That was us, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were out here. We was at every festival. You know what I'm saying? We were in every city in Michigan. We was there, like handing out CDs, posting flyers and all of that. And I think that's the beauty of one of the upsides of the internet and the social media age is that now it's easier to connect with people. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to necessarily be in a million places at once because you can be at home and be in a million places at once, you know, just by, you know what I'm saying, clicking your video on and now a million people might see you. So I think that that's one of the dope things about where the evolution as far as the technology in regards to hip hop. Like, I think that that's so dope because it is a little, I don't want to say easier because it's still hard work, but far as if you got good product and if you believe in yourself and you stay true to what you do, I think that, you know, it is definitely a lot more, a lot less stressful to get your music heard by a lot of people. So I love it. You know, I dig it, man. Cause like I say, I'm a vet at this point. So it's like going from the CD era to now, I completely appreciate it and I love it. You know what I'm saying? If you got your product together and you believe in yourself, man, you're gonna get your music out there.
For sure, for sure. I want to just take like a step back to kind of early 2013, when you were touring with Xzibit, and he mentioned that he recognized your talents, and he mentioned that he would try and connect you to Dre when he could. And you know, you mentioned in one of your previous interviews, which I've been watching, I've been doing my research. You know, when he mentioned, you know, you had to be in California by 9 a.m. the next morning. How did, like, just, I'm so curious, like, take us through the mind of Jon Connor. Like, how do you feel when you've been hustling so hard through, just as you've said, to get to this pinnacle point? I mean, I understand you mentioned as well in a previous interview that that camp was the camp that you were actually going for. You know, you were finally, like, you know, your dream was coming true.
Man, it was crazy, you know, because especially our whole lives, it's like being artists. You watch these movies and you watch TV, and getting signed is like, that's the pinnacle. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that was where my mind was at the time, where it was like, wow, like, you know, I worked this hard and finally it's coming to fruition. And for it to be with Dr. Dre was crazy because at that point, I got to a point back in 2013 where I was like, you know what? I don't even want a record deal no more. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm completely cool doing my independent thing, doing what I do. And I remember saying the phrase to myself, man, it's going to take Dr. Dre or Jay-Z or Puff. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's going to take one of them at this point. And the power of the tongue, man, you know what I'm saying? It ended up being Dr. Dre. And at the time, man, it was a beautiful thing. Like, just where my mind was at the time was like, oh, this is awesome. You know, to be able to learn and study under one of the greatest to ever do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that experience is priceless. And I've been saying, you know, my time spent at Aftermath was like college. You know what I'm saying? I went there, I studied, I learned, you know what I'm saying, from the master, you know what I'm saying? One of the architects of, you know what I'm saying, this music that we do. And, you know what I'm saying, it's priceless. So I take those experiences with me, you know what I'm saying, now that I'm, you know what I'm saying, the CEO of my own company and I have my own artist. It's like I take those things that I learned while I was there and then I apply that to myself as an artist and I apply it to the artists that I produce for now.
Completely.
So, John, you might kind of recognize from the T-shirt that I'm a bit of a basketball fan. So
yeah,
when you mentioned kind of your homie Mateen Cleaves, my kind of ears lit up a bit. I was wondering, you know, like if you could tell us a little bit more about the background of that relationship. I mean, you mentioned kind of hustling and selling kind of mixtapes with Mateen Cleaves, and now he's still kind of involved in your career. You know, like I'm somebody who's worked with good friends over my career. Can you tell us a little bit about that relationship and how some of the people around you have maybe influenced your career and what steps you've taken with people around you?
Yeah, man, Mo Cleaves, that's my big brother, man. You know what I mean? Like, we had the Flint connection is what, you know what I'm saying, tied us together was, you know what I'm saying, both of us being from Flint. Like, I didn't, like, it's like, from my perspective, when I was a kid, I grew up looking up to Mo Cleaves. Like, I was telling him, like, we used to have certain days at school where it was Michigan State Day, right? So you would go to school and you would either wear something that was maize and blue, or you would wear something that was green and white, you know, to represent for Michigan State. And I was always a Michigan State guy, and I always looked up to Mo Cleaves. So it was so insane, man, that he had caught wind of one of my mixtapes, and he turned into like a Jon Connor fan, right? So I'm performing at this bar called The Loft in Flint, and he just happened to be there. And he like, yo, you Jon Connor, you dope. You deserve to be on TV. You gonna make it. And he was just so enthusiastic about my gift and about me and my artistry. It was just like, from that point on, it was just all love. And the thing about it was, before we even started doing business with each other, he's such a genuine person and a good-hearted person that he just started helping me. He didn't ask for a piece of my company. He didn't ask for any compensation. It was just, I believe in you, and I want to see you make it. And it was like, from that point on, we was just bonded. Like, you know, me and Mo Cleaves, we going to be rocking till the wheels fall off. And so it's just that he was, and another thing I want to say about Mo is that, you know, he could have just looked at it like, you know, I played in the NBA. I'll just throw some money into this. And if it works out, it works out. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But he wasn't like that at all. He was hands-on with the grind. It was like, when we talk about passing out CDs, Mateen Cleaves from the NBA was out there passing out CDs with everybody, talking to promoters, you know what I'm saying? I remember times him damn near fighting with DJs, like, for them to play my music. So it's like, you know, that is my brother for life. And, you know, he's been on this entire journey with me, and now we restarted up All Varsity Music Group, and it's a beautiful thing. It's like, this time we coming back to finish what we started. And, you know what I mean? Like, well, one thing that we learned, and we always believe in each other with, that when me and him put our minds together, we're both two dudes that have the same exact drive, the same exact, like, just that dog instinct, that killer instinct, that we not gonna stop until we win. And so that's where we plan on taking the company now. And with the artists that we working with, it's like, you know, let's set out to make history again. Let's make one of the most successful independent labels of all time, and that's what we setting out to do.
Yeah, that's epic. It's epic. I mean, how, in terms of your experience at Aftermath, or just being on a label and having the likes of label mates, and now you've got All Varsity Music as a label, and, you know, how does that experience, you know, being as an artist on a label such as Aftermath, influence you as to how you want to run your company or AVM moving forward?
Yeah, how it influenced me, I think it let me know to let artists be artists in a way of, you know, let them trust their instincts. And as a CEO, it's my job to believe in their vision. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what, you know, I just want to let artists be free. I want to support them. I want to help them make the best art that they can possibly make, and just whatever knowledge that I've gained. Like, I just want to make sure I help them polish it up to make sure it's the best version of what they're trying to get across. And so for me, my time spent at Aftermath and how it affected me was just because a song is done don't mean it's finished. You know what I'm saying? Ride around, listen to it, make sure you're happy, exhaust every idea with every song. You know what I mean? Always make sure your vibes are positive and keep people around you that believe in what you're doing, because that was one thing with Aftermath. And Dre always kept a lot of, you know what I'm saying, energies around that were just as focused as he was, and just as motivated and just as positive about whatever it was that we were working on. So that's something that I also take with me. It's like, yo, if you're going to be in my space, you got to believe wholeheartedly in what we're doing. And if you don't, then you can take it somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it was so many things that I learned over there that I incorporate in what I do now. Just from how I record in the studio, and just like I say, the support, being a support system for a younger artist. I think that I learned that that's very important to, as the bigger homie, always make sure you support, and always make sure you put that, you know what I'm saying, that extra bit of encouragement behind the artist that you're working with.
Yeah, I want to ask a little bit more about that, because, like, I guess kind of things have changed. Like you were saying, kind of taking the mixtape around to then having a label behind you to take it to radio stations or whatever else. And now it's kind of streaming platforms and things like that. You know, like, how does that change with having like a roster of artists, right? Because like with Aftermath, you had some really kind of prolific label mates there, right? And you kind of have limited attention or limited kind of time that you can go and kind of talk to this radio station or that radio station, versus now where you can kind of press go, right? And send it to all of these kind of platforms to get your music heard, right? How has that kind of change influenced how you're thinking about the artists that you're representing or working with?
Man, I love it. I love it. I love the fact that it's that simple now. If we make a song that we like and we believe in it, and if we put it out and, you know what I'm saying, get it out to, you know, these certain platforms, that boom, overnight, bam. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got one. You know what I'm saying? It was like we were doing whole projects and giving them away for free in the hopes that somebody would listen to it. Now it's like, you know, with the algorithms and everything that, you know, puts your songs on different playlists and suggests, you know what I'm saying, your music to different audiences based on the person listening to this and that. Like, that is amazing that, you know what I'm saying, this system of streaming is working for you, even when you're not thinking about it. So it's like, I think it's a beautiful thing. And especially, like I said, with the younger artists that I'm working with, they just got such a spirit, that creative spirit, that energy of just wanting to be heard, that hunger is in them so heavy right now. That is dope. It makes me as a CEO happy, because it's like, oh, bet, you ready to go. So we about to just put out music. You know what I'm saying? We just about to keep giving the people music and then hope something catches. But it's like, we just in a place right now where we love hard work. We love the fact of regrowing the audience and regrowing the fan base, especially in this streaming era, because like I say, it's like the music gets out to so many people now, and you don't have to like just hand to hand one by one. It's like, as we speaking right now, SOS is probably being heard by people in countries that I probably haven't even thought about right now, all because of how it's evolved, you know what I'm saying, with technology. So I think that it's a beautiful thing, especially for a company like us that just love making music and giving it out to the people.
Well, I mean, you've got an insane work ethic. I mean, in 2012, you were dropping like what, mixtapes every 2 months. It was insane.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And even now, you know, every New Music Mondays, kind of prior to the release of SOS. SOS has a lot of tracks on it. All your mixtapes have been kind of full with great content, and your albums. I guess, does that, you know, does timing frustrate you? You know, particularly when you're on a label and it's like, well, you know, particularly someone such as yourself who just loves putting the content out there and you're so passionate about your craft. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, you've seen it from the thank yous, you know, and you'll find what is 12 minutes of praise on SOS, how you're probably the most positive guy in hip hop, well, if not the most positive guy in the music industry, you know, and it's reflective of your attitude towards your fans and the relationship you've built with your fans. You know, so we just kind of love to understand, like, it must be so frustrating for someone like yourself who just wants to kind of feed the hungry fans, you know?
Man, you know what? I look at it like any and everything that you go through helps build you and make you stronger. You know what I'm saying? I think that everything that I went through was to make me the person that I am now. You know, I definitely had times of, you know, being frustrated or whatever the case may be, but it's like, and it's not, man, and thank you for those compliments about being so positive, because I think sometimes people think it's an act. It's really not. I'm an Aries, man. We are annoyingly optimistic, bro. So it's like, you know, I be feeling like sometimes when people ask me questions, they not saying this about you, but like some people like be waiting for me to be angry about something, but I don't really get angry about things. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm really always like at peace. So it's like, for me, there were times like of going through frustrating times, but I think we go through frustrating times in life, period. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I was a doctor, there'd be frustrating times being a doctor. Yeah. If I worked at McDonald's, there'd be frustrating times working at McDonald's. So it's like, I just think that that's life. You know what I'm saying? More so than anything, my time spent on the major was more of a learning experience. Yeah. And I took all of those things, the good times and the bad times. And I'm like, well, now I'm a walking testimony. Now these things that I went through can help somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I think that's why we go through things, is so that we can help another person not have to go through the things that we went through. And so, yeah, that's how I look at it, man. But just know, like, for me, now that I'm, you know, back doing my indie thing and I own my own company, is back on. We about to keep hitting y'all with music back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? So my lessons have been learned, and one thing that I did learn is that I can't stay away that long. You know what I'm saying? I love giving people music, and I just love giving my art to the people. But it was a learning experience, and I don't look back on it with any type of regrets or anything like that. I look back on it like, okay, this is lessons learned for me to teach the younger generation.
Completely. Well, I mean, with your experience, as you say, it molds you as an artist, it molds you as a person, and the fact that you take that experience as a positive, which it should be, and you're using that to just springboard you into this new era of music where, you're more motivated than ever to just, get your stuff out there. It's awesome. It's funny you mentioned about the angry part, because dude, you can spit hard. There's nothing better than putting on a Jon Connor track and being able to go to the gym and being able to lift some weights, and, people get tired of listening to the old stuff. We want something new that's beyond trap music and that traditional kind of almost dumbed down music. I like the fact that, you're front of mind and being conscious about, hyper relevant events and what's going on in the world, and thinking beyond just, what, every artist has its place, but what the current state of industry is today, at least from my lens.
Jon, can I ask on that note, so as kind of an entrepreneur now yourself with this kind of company that you're setting up with this roster of artists, and having kind of seen the inside of like a larger label and executing that, the business model of starting off as, doing the hustle, selling the tape, right? Kind of going in and performing and maybe not getting paid for that performance. Maybe if you're lucky, getting paid for that performance, to having a label do the production and taking on some of that cost and maybe making money through the label and having to give some of that back around production and distribution, to now, right? And having to see kind of, you're not selling physical goods where you can kind of say, here's the margin on kind of selling, 100,000 records or 100,000 CDs, and seeing kind of distribution. How are you thinking about it, or how are you kind of helping your artists think about all the different ways that they can, at the end of the day, make money, right? Like for artists kind of like thinking about whether it's licensing deals, whether it's distribution, whether it's performances, all that kind of stuff. How do you go about kind of helping your artists kind of think about, actually, here are all the ways that you can make money as an artist?
You know what? It's funny because I think within your question, you said it. It's like that, and that's another thing that I learned from being on a major. I didn't know shit about like licensing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't know, like before, like back in 2012, 2011, 2010, I had no idea. It was when, you know what I'm saying, I got signed to a major that I was seeing all these different avenues to where like you could create revenue streams. Like some of the, I hate talking money, but it's like some of the coolest times, I'll say coolest times, was when like a song would get placed in a movie. Then you like, damn, like you could get that from like just them playing it for 30 seconds in a movie. Like, this is crazy. So it's like what I'm doing with my artists is educating them on that so that they don't feel like I used to feel, like the way to make it out or the way to provide for your family is you have to sign to these major companies, because you don't. Because if you're good enough, like I said, if you got a good team behind you, the door is open for everything you just said. For, you know what I'm saying? Just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got an artist named Gabbana. He's really deep into like cannabis culture, right? Okay. So it's like, boom, there's so many revenue streams, whether it's like just different cannabis companies, different cannabis magazines, different, it's like, bro, target, you know what I'm saying, those things that you like the most and that you deal with the most, and there's going to be a way to monetize just you being you. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to go to the major label to get the bread. It's like, the music starts to get the attention of who you are and builds up your character and who you are to the people. After they have the music and people know who you are, it's going to be people reaching out to you because they're going to want to associate what they do with what you do, and you don't need a major label for that. Just figure out who and what you are as an artist, and there's always a way to monetize that, like from basically just being who you are. So I teach that to them, like, yo, it's so many ways to provide for yourself within this business to where you don't necessarily have to sign your life away to a major company. And I definitely just educate them on that, about publishing and royalties and licensing and all of those things. That's a part of being AVM. We have this thing that I got called industry etiquette. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like I actually teach them classes about the different parts of the business.
Yeah.
And it's like, I always told them, I'm not going to feel comfortable putting y'all records out until I know that y'all understand 100% the things that y'all need to know about this business and how y'all supposed to get paid. I feel like that's what we're supposed to do. As the generation before, it's your job to teach the generation under you all of the things that you might didn't know when you was younger.
Yeah, I just like to echo that, because as an entrepreneur, having kind of built companies that did well and companies that failed, you know, that's kind of the thing now on the other side as an investor. You're trying to kind of help them make totally different mistakes, right? It's
Absolutely.
like, don't make these mistakes that I've made. Let me help you kind of avoid some of these, and let's make some new ones together.
Yes.
So I feel you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I want to kind of just shift gears a bit into SOS and really shine the spotlight on there. It's an awesome album. And when I heard you were finally releasing, you know, an album, I was like, man, I remember I was just sending it off to Pahan and being like, dude, you have to get it. I wanted to just kind of pick your brain a bit on kind of the thought process or the creative process behind an album like that, you know, and how do you think about that? Obviously, you've been in album mode for quite a while, in a different kind of, with a different emphasis, and then you're looking for new subject matter. Like, can you lean on lyrics that you've used previously? Kind of, how do you think about, you know, the narrative? And as you've mentioned, you know, you're very focused on the idea of an album. And for me, for example, I actually still collect physical CDs. Kind of weird. I keep them. And I love listening to an album cover to cover, because I think it's important to have that cohesive story. And concept albums are great. So I'd love to kind of understand a bit more behind the rationale of SOS.
Well, people got to understand, like, so all of this music was recorded, you know what I'm saying, after I left the major label. So this was me in a whole different mindset, like everything, like, so just addressing what you said about it possibly using older lyrics, everything was brand new. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, from the production to the lyrics to the concepts, everything. And just to keep it all the way honest, I kind of went through like a spiritual growth phase, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
I started really thinking about my words. I started thinking about, you know, well, what energies am I bringing out of people when I rap? Because music is so important. It's music in everything. It's music in movies. It's music in cartoons. Music has, you know, is such an important part of our daily lives. And I used to always tell people, like, when somebody's listening to music, it's like they either want to be talked into something or talked out of something, right? Yeah. So it's like, let's say somebody want to rob somebody. They're going to cut on a song that's egging them on to go rob somebody, you know what I'm saying? So then if somebody's going through a breakup and they heart broke, they're going to turn on something that's going to soothe that pain. So I started thinking to myself, well, what am I saying to people? You know what I'm saying? Like, I really need to, like, you know, really study what I'm saying. And I just to sum that up, man, is my spiritual growth made me way more conscious about the things that I say and what am I attracting to myself. And when people are listening to my music, when they're saying these words passionately in their car, what are they attracting to themselves while they're repeating these words that you know what I'm saying, that I'm saying on these songs. Yeah. So the creative process for SOS was the first time that I was super duper aware and conscious of the impact that music has on people. Yeah. So it was like, I want people to experience the growth that I've went through, but at the same time, there are flaws within me. So whereas, like, I'm not a flawless individual, I want to express that too. But I just want people to grow with me. And it was just a matter of me being aware of what I was saying. But then at the same time, it was like, I just want y'all to continue to grow with me. I want to express my flaws. I want to express the things that I've been through so that people could connect to it and know, like, yo, it ain't over. It's not over until you quit. If you could listen to my journey and my story and I still kept going, hopefully that inspires the next person to keep going. I think that's what SOS is all about, is just to keep pushing forward. Don't let the adversity stop you. It's not over until you quit. And that was pretty much the main message of SOS.
And I think considering kind of what shape the world's in right now and everything going on, it's a message that I hopefully will resonate with a lot of people and kind of give people a lot of hope and positivity. So I think
Thank you.
on behalf of the world, thank you for that.
No, thank you, man.
But what's coming next, man? What's in the pipeline? What can we expect in the future from Jon Connor and from kind of like the company and everything you're hoping to kind of do in the future?
Well, absolutely. Next, we got The Road to Legendary, which is a 5-part docuseries that documents like my high school years, my underground years, my Aftermath years, and then my time after Aftermath to restarting All Varsity Music Group. Yeah. So it takes you through all of those steps because, like I said, I feel like I'm a story in progress that for the new Jon Connor fans, they might just be picking up on me and my music and all of that. So it's to update them on where I've been, where I came from, if SOS is their first time hearing me. But then also for the people that have been rocking with me, it gives them the answers and it gives them like sort of the insight of what happened, where did he go, like, and what our mindset was at different points of the journey. So The Road to Legendary, shouts out to my man Fatah who directed it, and me and Mo Cleaves executive produced it. It's really, really is I don't want to gas it, but I think it's really good. So The Road to Legendary is next. My artist Ace Gabbana, his project Moonwater, I produced it from top to bottom, which is dope for me because this is the first time there's an artist that's not Jon Connor that I produced a whole album. So Ace Gabbana Moonwater, we looking to drop it in July, August. And then SOS 2 probably is going to come out October, November. And if people just want some more Jon Connor, I got a couple Best in the World tapes still in the tuck. So if people like Connor, what's up? We need some more music. I got that in the tuck as well. So those are just a couple of things that we got coming. But immediately next is The Road to Legendary and Ace Gabbana, and then SOS 2.
You've made my co-host Dario very happy. He looked very. The thought of more Jon Connor music has made him a very happy camper.
Man, Dario, thank you, man. Like for real, thank both of y'all. But Dario, you my man, 50 grand, dog. Like for real.
No, man, it's amazing having you on here, man. Like funny enough, I'll just say this. Like 2 years ago, I had this idea of starting a podcast and talking about the music industry, and Farhan and I worked together. And, we spoke about, it took me a couple months to get the confidence to say to him, hey man, like I want to start a podcast. And I said, it was March 2018. I said, the first guest I want to interview on this podcast is Jon Connor, because, I really used to speak about you a lot back when I was, I'm South African, when I was living there. I'm now in London. And a lot of people have taken a lot of interest into you, and it's amazing that you've actually got the level of engagement you do with your fans and your willingness to even do this. So we're highly appreciative of it.
It's love, man. Listen, let me tell you something, man. We're all human. We all one race. We the human race, man. And with everything that's going on, we all one community. We all share this world together. You know what I mean? So, bro, I never been the type of dude that got caught up in like, I'm an artist and I treat other people like this, and it's stupid. Like, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't that way in high school. Like the dude that I'm popular, you're not. Nah, I hung with everybody. Like, you know what I'm saying? We all, we all one. And I think, that's my biggest thing, man. I want to just break down those walls within humans that stop people from communicating based off shallow, superficial stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, I make some music that people like. That don't make me no better than nobody, man. It's somebody out there right now. It's a doctor out there right now saving lives. If you look at it from my perspective, bro, I've always looked at it like that. Those are the people that should be on pedestals. Like, you know what I'm saying? I make music. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I'm grateful, but it's like there are people like firefighters and shit like that literally like risk their lives like every day. So it's like, that's what, when people call me humble or whatever, it's like I just have a certain perspective that it's like, yo, I'm grateful that people appreciate what I do, but I feel like there are so many people out there, man, that deserve that pedestal, that go out and like save lives and actually help people. Like, think of all of the people during this pandemic, the doctors and nurses and RNs that are out there legitimately like saving the world. Like, you know what I'm saying? to me, those are the people that we should celebrate and have, like, you know what I'm saying, these moments and pop bottles for. It's like me, I make music, I do what I do, and I'm a part of this big puzzle called life. But as far as like that whole thing where people treat people funny based off of their profession, I just think it's silly, man.
I agree. Well, I think that's a really kind of epic point to kind of like close on. So, Jon, thank you so much for the time, for the energy, for the positivity, and most of all for the music. Maybe you want to tell kind of our listeners, viewers, whatever, where they can find you, where they can kind of keep track, and where they can hear your most recent stuff. How do people get a hold or get more of Jon Connor now?
Well, streaming on all platforms, SOS, go, whether you got Tidal, Spotify, Apple Music, don't matter. Audio Mac, it's on all of that. Please go check it out. And please, hit me up on my social media. It's at Jon Connor Music on Twitter, Instagram, all of that stuff. So, yeah, man, just catch me like that, man. And when all of this stuff dies down, man, y'all can catch me live. And I love chopping it up with the people, the supporters, man, because I love y'all so much. AVM is the people's label. We need the people. We do, you know what I'm saying? Indie artists need the people. So, you know what I mean? So without y'all support, man, what we do don't mean nothing, man. And I just want to say thank y'all again for having me. I truly appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Jon.
What a legend. As a plug, just to remind you that you can find us now on Instagram on @middleschool MDLSKL for our latest playlist picks, our podcast catalog, as well as all the latest news on the business side of the music industry. Ciao for now.